Hello from Mindset Daily, wishing you a day full of health, peace, and happiness. Thank you for watching the Mindset Daily channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much. Have you ever wondered why some people seem destined for success while others never get off the ground? What if I told you success isn't about luck or being in the right place at the right time? And most importantly, what if the difference between failure and greatness is simply the way you think every single day? Success is not an accident. It doesn't happen by chance, and it certainly isn't just about luck, though luck can help sometimes. True success comes from building the right mindset, cultivating the right philosophy, and shaping the way you think. Because once your thinking changes, your actions follow. And when your actions are right, the results naturally take care of themselves. That's where it all begins and ends. It starts with mastering your mindset. Let me tell you something that completely changed the course of my life. At the age of 25, I met a man who would later become my mentor. He shared with me one powerful truth. We become what we think about most of the time. Pause and really let that sink in. We become what we constantly dwell on in our thoughts. If you're constantly focused on your problems, you slowly become a reflection of those problems. But if your mind is filled with your goals, you begin to align yourself with them. When you focus on success, you start to think, act, and move like successful people. The mind is like a garden. What you plant is what you harvest. Plant tomatoes, get tomatoes. Plant weeds, get weeds. But here's the most fascinating part. Do nothing, and you still get something. Weeds, they grow without effort. They don't need watering or care. They just take over. But if you want tomatoes, you need to plant the seeds, water them, fertilize the soil, guard them from the elements, and tend to them every single day. That's exactly how your mind works. Feed it with positive thoughts, with uplifting ideas and empowering beliefs, and you'll build a mindset wired for success. But if you neglect it, or worse, fill it with negativity and self-doubt, your mind will turn against you. The decision is yours to make. And here's the key. That decision isn't made just once. It's made fresh every single day. Now, there's something fundamental you need to grasp about your mindset. It's not fixed. It's not something you're born with and stuck with for life. Your mindset is much more flexible than you may think. It's like a muscle. And like any muscle, the more you train it in a productive direction, the stronger it grows. When you feed it the right kind of mental nutrition, thoughts that are constructive, empowering, and focused, your mindset becomes healthier, more resilient, and more capable. Just as your body needs regular workouts and healthy fuel to stay fit, your mind requires the same level of discipline and commitment. This isn't a one-time effort, it's a daily practice. Think about the most successful people you admire, whether you know them personally or have only read about them. What do they all share? One powerful trait. They think differently than the average person. They've developed what I call a success mindset. Where others see closed doors, they see windows of opportunity. Where some see dead ends, they recognize new beginnings. Where most see problems, they spot potential. It's not because they've been handed better lives or born under luckier stars. It's because they've trained their minds intentionally and consistently to focus on what will help them grow, improve, and move forward. Here's a powerful truth that's often overlooked. Your outer world is a mirror of your inner world. What surrounds you is shaped by what's within you. So if you're serious about changing your life on the outside, your circumstances, your results, your future, you must begin with what's happening on the inside. Change starts in the mind. Every transformation begins with transforming your mindset. Let's talk about beliefs for a moment, because they're the core of your mindset. Your beliefs form the foundation for how you experience the world. They're the deeply rooted assumptions you carry about yourself, about other people, and about what is or isn't possible. And here's the thing. These beliefs don't just sit passively in your mind. They shape what you notice and what you dismiss. They influence what you chase after and what you avoid. They decide what risks you take and which doors you never even attempt to open. If you believe you're not smart enough, you'll avoid opportunities that demand intellect, even if you're fully capable. If you believe you're unworthy of success, you'll find ways to undermine your progress. often just when you're about to break through. And if you believe that wealthy people are greedy or that money itself is evil, you'll unknowingly reject the very abundance you claim to desire. But on the flip side, if you believe you're capable of learning whatever you need, if you believe you're worthy of achieving great things, and if you see money simply as a neutral tool that reflects who you are, then you'll start walking confidently toward success. Your steps become clearer. Your energy becomes focused. And that's when things begin to shift. Here's what's truly empowering. Beliefs are not set in stone. You're not chained to the ones you inherited from your family, your past, or society at large. You can choose your beliefs. You can reflect on them, challenge the ones that hold you back, and replace them with new ones that serve your growth. This realization can be one of the most freeing experiences of your life. Because once you recognize that your beliefs are a choice, you also understand that your future is in your hands. What you believe determines how you see the world, how you act, and ultimately, what you create. Now, let's talk about the silent killer of a success mindset. It's not poverty. It's not a lack of education. And it's certainly not limited opportunities. The true enemy is something far more subtle, yet deeply destructive: negative thinking. Negative thinking spreads like a virus. It quietly infects every part of your mind, shifting your attention toward what's wrong instead of what's possible. It makes you dwell on what's missing rather than what you already have. It shifts your focus from how can I to why I can't. And it doesn't stop there. Negative thinking is highly contagious. Spend enough time around negative people, and you'll find your own thoughts growing darker. Absorb pessimistic news every day, and your mindset begins to mirror that heaviness. Let negative influences surround you, and before you know it, you've built patterns of thought that quietly sabotage your dreams before they've even had a chance to begin. But here's the good news. Here's something powerful to remember. Positive thinking isn't just important. It's even more powerful than negative thinking. And just like negativity, it's contagious. When you commit to developing a positive mindset, when you consistently train yourself to search for the good in every situation, you start shifting the entire direction of your life. You begin to focus on solutions instead of dwelling on problems. You learn to see setbacks not as the end, but as setups for powerful comebacks. As your thoughts shift, so does your energy, and you begin attracting positive people, new opportunities, and better outcomes, often in ways that feel almost effortless. That's the magnetic effect of positive thinking. But don't misunderstand. It's not about pretending problems don't exist. It's not about slapping a fake smile on your face while everything is falling apart around you. True positive thinking runs deeper than appearances. It's about cultivating trust in your ability to face life's challenges head on. It's believing deep down that every problem comes with a solution waiting to be discovered. That behind every setback lies a lesson worth learning. That every ending is quietly making space for a new beginning to emerge. Now let me share one of the most life-changing mindset principles I've ever encountered. It's simple yet profound. You are where you are, and what you are because of the thoughts you've thought and the actions you've taken up to this point. Your current results didn't just happen. They're not random. They're not accidents or strokes of luck. They're the natural byproduct of your past mindset and behavior. If that idea feels a bit uncomfortable, it should, and that's a good thing. This principle is both sobering and empowering. Sobering, because it places responsibility directly on your shoulders. You can no longer point the finger at your upbringing, your environment, your education, or your circumstances. But here's the liberating part. It means you're not stuck. You're not doomed to repeat the past. If your thinking and your actions have created the life you're living right now, then new thinking and new actions can lead you somewhere entirely different. Your future isn't written in stone. It's written in your choices, and those begin in your mind. Success doesn't begin when you get the job, earn the money, or win the award. It begins much earlier, long before anyone else sees it. It starts in the mind. Every invention, every building, every major achievement you can think of was born first as a simple thought in someone's imagination. That skyscraper downtown, it began in an architect's mind. The company that changed the world? First, a dream in an entrepreneur's head. And your success? It will be created in your mind before it ever becomes part of your physical reality. This is exactly why high achievers invest time in visualizing their goals, affirming their potential, and mentally walking through their own success. They understand something crucial. Your mind doesn't distinguish between an imagined experience and a real one when the mental image is vivid and emotionally charged. So, when you repeatedly see yourself succeeding, when you visualize it clearly and often, your subconscious begins to accept it as truth. And once that happens, it starts searching for ways to turn that internal vision into external reality. But let's be clear, visualization by itself won't take you across the finish line. It's a powerful start, but it's not the whole journey. You must pair those mental images with real, consistent action. Dreams without action? They're just dreams. Goals without action? They become empty wishes. Visualization without effort is nothing more than daydreaming. But when you combine a clear vision of what you want with steady, focused action toward it, you unleash a force that becomes nearly impossible to stop. Now let's talk about something that influences your success even more quietly. Your self-talk. The average person has around 60,000 thoughts a day. Let that number sink in. And studies suggest that nearly 80% of those thoughts are negative. What does that mean? It means most people are unknowingly programming themselves for failure every single day. They repeatedly tell themselves why they can't do something, why they're not good enough, why it won't work, or why they don't deserve more. This kind of inner dialogue, even when it's silent, can be incredibly destructive. And most of the time, they don't even realize they're doing it. Your self-talk is the most important conversation you'll ever have, because it's the only one that's always happening. You talk to yourself more than anyone else ever will. You hear your own voice more than any other voice in your life. And what you repeatedly say to yourself becomes what you believe. That belief then shapes your emotions. Those emotions influence how you behave. And eventually, those behaviors determine the results you experience in your life. If you truly want to master your mindset for success, there's one place you must start: your self-talk. You need to become fully aware of the internal dialogue that runs through your mind each day. Once you're conscious of what you're saying to yourself, you can begin to choose words that empower rather than discourage, words that lift you up rather than pull you down. The goal is to use language that moves you closer to your goals, not further away. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," reframe it as, "I'm learning how to do this." That simple shift opens up a pathway in your brain that's focused on progress. Rather than saying, "I'm not good at this," choose to say, "I'm getting better at this." It's not about pretending. It's about realigning your perspective. When something feels difficult, don't tell yourself, "This is too hard." Say, "This is challenging me to grow." And when you slip up, don't default to, "I always mess up." Instead, try, "I'm human, and I'm learning from my mistakes." These small but intentional changes in your self-talk might seem insignificant at first, but over time, they create massive changes in how you feel, how you act, and ultimately, in the results you achieve. Because your words influence your beliefs, and your beliefs shape your reality. Now let's dive into a concept that separates those who stagnate from those who evolve. The difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. People with a fixed mindset hold the belief that their intelligence, talents, and abilities are set in stone. They think you either have what it takes or you don't, and there's no real way to change that. This kind of thinking leads them to avoid new challenges, to give up quickly when faced with obstacles, to reject useful feedback, and to feel threatened by the accomplishments of others. They fear failure because they see it as a reflection of who they are, not as an opportunity to grow. In contrast, people with a growth mindset see things differently. They believe that intelligence and ability can be developed through effort, persistence, and learning from failure. They don't run from challenges, they welcome them. When setbacks arise, they keep going. They embrace criticism as a chance to improve, and they find inspiration in other people's success instead of jealousy or insecurity. And here's something they understand deeply. The word yet might be one of the most powerful words in the English language. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," they say, "I can't do this yet." That one word shifts the mindset from limitation to possibility. The contrast between these two mindsets is enormous. A fixed mindset places a ceiling on your growth. It convinces you that where you are now is all you'll ever be. But a growth mindset does the opposite. It stretches your potential. It reminds you that where you are today is only the starting point, not the finish line. So, let me ask you, what mindset do you currently have? When you face a challenge, how do you respond? Do you avoid it and hope it goes away? Or do you step up and embrace it, seeing it as an opportunity to grow? When you experience failure, do you take it as proof that you're not good enough? Or do you recognize it as valuable feedback, showing you where to improve and adjust? And how do you handle criticism? Do you take it personally, feel attacked, and get defensive? Or do you pause, reflect, and search for the helpful truth within it? The kind of insight that can actually help you grow stronger? The way you respond to these things reveals more than just your current mindset. It reveals your mindset about your mindset. And that distinction matters more than you might realize. Because if you believe your mind is fixed, unchangeable, you won't bother trying to improve it. You won't invest in learning, growing, or doing the work required to develop a stronger mindset. But if you believe your mind functions like a muscle, something that grows through use, repetition, and effort, then you'll approach life with an entirely different level of commitment and energy. You'll be willing to stretch, to work, to push through discomfort in the pursuit of a stronger version of yourself. Now here's something that might surprise you. Successful people fail more often than unsuccessful people. That's not a mistake. It's a fact. They fail more because they're in the game more. They try more, risk more, experiment more. They enter more arenas where failure is possible and sometimes inevitable. But the key difference is this: they don't let failure stop them. They don't allow it to define who they are or dictate what they can become. Instead, they use failure as a teacher. It educates them, it sharpens them, and ultimately, it elevates them. Because failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the path to it. Every failure brings a lesson that moves you one step closer. Every no moves you nearer to a yes. Every mistake shows you one more way that doesn't work. And that knowledge points you toward the way that does. And every setback, if you're mentally prepared, becomes the very thing that sets you up for a powerful comeback. The most successful people I know have developed something I call failure immunity. They've trained their minds to see failure not as a reflection of their value, their intelligence, or their potential, but as essential feedback. They don't fear failure. They work with it. They fail fast. They fail forward. And they fail better. Because for them, failure isn't falling down. It's part of standing up stronger the next time. It's not failure that defines you. It's staying down that holds you back. And that brings us to one of the most powerful mindset skills you can develop: resilience. Resilience is your ability to bounce back when life knocks you down. It's the strength to recover from disappointments, to get back on your feet after setbacks, and to keep moving forward even when the path feels uphill. It's not about pretending challenges don't exist or acting like pain doesn't hurt. It's about building the mental and emotional toughness to face adversity head on, and to use those tough experiences as tools for growth and wisdom. But here's the key: resilience doesn't just show up one day. It's built little by little through consistent practice. Every time you confront a challenge, instead of avoiding it, you build resilience. Every time you bounce back from failure instead of staying stuck in it, you strengthen that inner toughness. Every time you want to give up but choose to keep going anyway, your resilience grows. Think of it like building physical muscle. You don't gain strength overnight. It takes repetition, effort, and the willingness to push through resistance. The same principle applies to your mental resilience. And one of the most important parts of resilience is perspective. How you interpret what happens to you shapes how you respond. Two people can go through the same exact event, yet come out with completely different attitudes. Why? Because of the way they perceive the situation. One person might interpret the setback as confirmation that life is unfair, that success is reserved for others, and that trying is pointless. That mindset leads to discouragement, giving up, and staying stuck. But another person, faced with the same situation, might see it as a challenge to overcome, a lesson to be learned, or a test that will make them stronger. That mindset leads to determination, action, and growth. Your perspective is your power. You might not always get to choose what happens to you, but you always have the power to choose what it means to you. Will you see obstacles as permanent roadblocks or as temporary detours? Will you see setbacks as endings or as invitations to begin again with more wisdom? Will you see problems as punishments or as opportunities to sharpen your problem-solving skills? That's your choice, and your choice makes all the difference. Now, let's talk about another critical element of mindset: focus. Think of your mind like a spotlight. Whatever you shine that light on becomes bigger in your awareness. If you focus on your problems, they expand. They grow larger in your thoughts, your emotions, and your reality. If you consistently focus on your possibilities, those possibilities begin to expand. Your awareness opens up, and suddenly, opportunities that once seemed distant start to feel closer and more attainable. On the other hand, if you focus on what's wrong in your life, you'll begin to see more of it. Your brain will zero in on the problems, amplifying them until they overshadow everything else. But when you train yourself to look at what's right, no matter how small, you start to notice more reasons to be hopeful, more signs of progress, and more motivation to keep going. That's the mindset successful people cultivate. They've learned to focus not on what they fear, but on what they want. They fix their attention on where they're going, not on where they've been. They direct their mental energy toward what they can control, not on what's outside of their hands. Because they understand a simple but powerful truth: focus is power. And when that power is channeled with intention, it fuels progress, momentum, and real growth. But focus isn't just about the thoughts you entertain. It's also about the input you allow into your mind. If you want to develop a success-oriented mindset, you have to be intentional, almost protective about what you feed your brain. What do you read? What do you watch? Who do you listen to? Who do you spend time with? Your mind is constantly absorbing and processing the information around you. Whether you realize it or not, you're being programmed every day by the content you consume and the company you keep. So make sure you're feeding your mind with material that supports your goals. Read books written by successful people or about them. Immerse yourself in educational and motivational content that stretches your thinking. Choose to watch programs that uplift and inform rather than ones that drain and discourage you. And most importantly, surround yourself with people who inspire you. Spend time with those who think big, who believe in growth, and who are committed to bettering themselves. Because over time, you begin to mirror the energy, habits, and mindset of the people closest to you. There's a saying worth remembering: you become like the people you spend the most time with. So choose wisely. Your future may depend on it. This leads us directly into another powerful element of building a success mindset: having mentors and role models. One of the fastest ways to elevate your thinking is to study people who've already achieved what you aspire to accomplish. Learn how they think. Observe how they respond to life's challenges. What patterns do they follow? What mindsets do they hold? How do they speak to themselves, especially in difficult moments? And here's the best part: you don't need to know these people personally. You can study their mindset through their books, speeches, interviews, and biographies. Success leaves behind a trail, clues that you can follow. If you pay attention, those clues will lead you toward your own breakthrough. Successful people often share similar ways of thinking. And here's the good news: you can learn to think the way they do. But don't stop at studying others. Take the time to study yourself. Pay attention to your own mental patterns. Start noticing the thoughts that uplift you versus the ones that sabotage your progress. Become aware of when you're building yourself up and when you're slowly tearing yourself down, thought by thought. Also, tune into your emotions. Every emotional state has a root, and more often than not, that root is a thought. Are you feeling anxious, discouraged, or stuck? Trace those feelings back to the thoughts that triggered them. The more conscious you become of your internal processes, the more control you gain over them. And with that control comes power, the power to shift, to redirect, and to choose thoughts that align with your highest goals. Now, let's talk about something that most people never even realize is holding them back: the fear of success. Yes, you heard that right. Not fear of failure, fear of success. It may sound counterintuitive, but many people are afraid of what success might demand of them. They fear the responsibility it brings, the expectations that might come from others, or the changes they may need to make in their lives. Some even fear that they won't be able to sustain success once they reach it. Or worse, that they'll lose it and be judged for it. When that fear exists, even just beneath the surface, it can quietly sabotage your progress. You might find yourself procrastinating when it really matters, making excuses, creating unnecessary distractions, or even accidentally failing at the last moment. And often, it feels out of your control, but it's actually rooted in your belief system. That's why it's absolutely essential to examine your beliefs about success. What do you associate with it? Pressure? Guilt? Isolation? If so, those associations will keep pushing it away. You need to reframe success as something that supports your life rather than threatens it. Because here's the truth: success is not something to fear. It's something to welcome. It doesn't make you selfish or arrogant. It makes you more capable, more resourceful, and more confident. Success doesn't separate you from others. It expands your ability to serve others on a larger scale. And no, it doesn't create more problems. In fact, it equips you with more tools, more insight, and more strength to solve them. And that leads us to one of the most important mindset principles of all: taking personal responsibility. If you want to truly master your mindset for success, you must take full ownership of your life. Not partial responsibility. Not responsibility only when things are going well, but total, unconditional responsibility. This means recognizing that you are the primary creative force behind your reality. That your choices, your actions, and yes, even your thoughts are shaping the life you're experiencing right now. Your choices are what determine your results. That's the core of personal responsibility. And here's something many people don't realize: blame is just an excuse that keeps you stuck. Blaming others, blaming the economy, blaming your past. It might feel justified in the moment, but it gives away your power. Now, personal responsibility doesn't mean you blame yourself for every single thing that happens in life. It's not about taking guilt. It's about taking control. It's about recognizing that no matter what life throws your way, you always have the ability to choose how you respond. And that response, that's what ultimately shapes your experience and determines your outcome. When you take full responsibility, something powerful happens. You reclaim your power. But the moment you point the finger at someone else or blame your circumstances, you surrender that power. You hand it away. And that's where real growth stalls. This mindset also applies to how you approach learning and growth. Don't wait around for someone to hand you what you need. Don't rely on your company to send you to training, or wait for a perfect moment when conditions magically align. If you want to grow, take ownership of your own learning. Seek out the knowledge. Invest in your development. Pursue your own success. Because the moment you take full, honest responsibility for your life, everything begins to shift. Why? Because instead of wasting time and energy looking for someone or something to blame, you begin looking for solutions. When you stop making excuses, you start making progress. When you stop waiting for better conditions, you begin to create them yourself. Now let's explore another powerful mindset principle: the role of goals. Goals shape your thinking in ways you might not realize. Think of goals as magnets for your mind. They pull your thoughts, your focus, and your daily decisions toward a specific destination. When you set clear, specific, written goals, your brain begins working behind the scenes. You start noticing opportunities that would have gone unseen. You make connections you otherwise would have ignored. You take steps, big and small, that move you forward. Why? Because your mind is now working with a purpose. But goals do more than guide your actions. They actually shape your identity. When you have goals, you begin to see yourself differently. You no longer see yourself as someone who's drifting. You see yourself as someone who's going somewhere. Someone with direction. Someone with intention. This shift, having clear goals, begins to transform how you see yourself and how you approach each day. You're no longer just going through the motions or reacting to whatever comes your way. Instead, you're moving with direction and intention, guided by a vision of where you want to go and why it matters to you. That's the power of purpose. But for goals to truly drive you forward, they need to be well-defined. The key to effective goal setting is using the SMART framework, making your goals specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Why? Because vague goals lead to vague outcomes. But when you set specific goals, you create a clear target. And clear targets lead to clear results. Don't just say, I want to be successful. Ask yourself, what does success actually look like for you? Is it launching your own business? Earning a specific income? Reaching a health milestone? Define it clearly. And don't just say, I want to make more money. Be exact. How much? By when? The more precise you are, the more power your goals have. And here's something simple but incredibly effective. Write your goals down. There's something almost magical about taking a goal from your head and putting it on paper. It makes it tangible. It transforms an abstract idea into something real. Something you can see, revisit, and commit to. Once written, goals become harder to ignore and easier to track. In fact, studies have shown that people who write down their goals are significantly more likely to achieve them than those who simply keep them in mind. Writing your goals increases your focus, reinforces your intentions, and serves as a daily reminder of where you're headed. But don't stop there. Review your goals regularly. Your goals shouldn't collect dust in a notebook. They should be living documents, something you come back to often. As you grow, your goals might evolve. And that's okay. Growth often brings new clarity, and new clarity may call for refined direction. By reviewing your goals frequently, you keep them fresh in your mind and aligned with your priorities. It helps you stay focused on what truly matters, especially when life gets busy or distractions creep in. And one more thing, share your goals with others, especially with people who will uplift you and hold you accountable. When you make your goals public, even to just one trusted person, you increase your chances of following through. Why? Because now you're not just accountable to yourself. You've made a commitment that someone else knows about. And that external accountability can be the nudge that keeps you moving when motivation dips. But don't forget, goals are not just about the end result. They're not only about the destination. What truly matters is who you become in the process of pursuing them. The journey toward your goals shapes your mindset, strengthens your habits, and reveals your potential. And often, the person you become along the way ends up being far more valuable than the actual achievement itself. Each goal you work toward, whether you reach it quickly or struggle for a while, builds your character. It refines your discipline, stretches your skills, and sharpens your focus. Even when the goal feels far away, the very act of working toward it gives you momentum and direction. And every time you follow through and achieve a goal, no matter how small, you reinforce something critical, your belief in yourself. You begin to see that you're someone who sets targets and hits them. That confidence becomes a launch pad for even greater goals. And this leads to a key principle for building a success mindset, having a long-term perspective. Real success doesn't happen overnight. It's not a quick sprint, it's a marathon. It's not about what you can accomplish this week or even this year. It's about what you can achieve over years, even decades, through steady, focused, and disciplined effort. Here's something most people get wrong. They dramatically overestimate what they can achieve in a single year, yet severely underestimate what they could accomplish over 10 years. They want fast results, instant transformation, immediate payoff. And when they don't see quick wins, they give up far too soon. But success doesn't usually work like that. It's more like compound interest. Its impact multiplies over time. The more consistently you apply yourself, the more your efforts build on each other. And eventually, the results become bigger than you imagined possible. This is what I call the compound effect mindset. It's the understanding that small actions, repeated with consistency over time, lead to massive results. It's not about doing everything at once. It's about doing the right things daily, even when they seem small. Take reading, for example. Reading just 30 minutes a day might not feel like a breakthrough. But over a year, that's more than 180 hours of learning. Over 10 years, that adds up to over 1,800 hours, enough to master a subject, develop deep expertise, or completely transform your thinking. Think about that. What else in your life could radically shift just by staying consistent? And it's not just knowledge. The same principle applies to your health, your relationships, your finances, every area of your life. Small, smart improvements, done day by day, create extraordinary change over time. Small improvements in your communication skills can lead to deep, extraordinary relationships over time. Small adjustments in how you manage your finances can eventually create long-lasting wealth. That's the magic of consistency, doing the right things over and over without needing immediate results. When you stay consistent long enough, those small efforts compound into something remarkable. And here's the beauty of adopting this long-term perspective. It gives you the strength to handle the inevitable short-term disappointments. When you keep your eyes on where you want to be 5, 10, or even 20 years from now, the setbacks of today don't feel nearly as devastating. Temporary failures lose their grip when you realize they're just small bumps on a much longer road. Because success? It's never a straight line. It's rarely a smooth climb from where you are to where you want to go. Instead, it looks more like a staircase, full of plateaus, detours, and sometimes even steps backward. But as long as the overall direction is upward, you're still making progress. And that brings us to one of the most critical ingredients of success: persistence. Persistence is what transforms repeated failures into meaningful achievement. It's what turns roadblocks into new doors, and what turns setbacks into the very things that lead to your comeback. The truth is, most people give up far too soon. They quit right before their breakthrough. They walk away just before the moment of harvest. Can you imagine how much untapped success exists in those final inches people never cross? Calvin Coolidge said it well. Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent won't do it. There are plenty of talented people who've never reached their potential. Genius won't either. History is filled with unrewarded brilliance. Even education doesn't guarantee success. The world is full of educated individuals who remain stuck. But persistence? Persistence, combined with determination, is unstoppable. Now, let's be clear. Persistence isn't about mindlessly repeating the same strategy over and over. It's not about stubbornly banging on the same door that refuses to open. True persistence is about remaining absolutely committed to your goal, while staying flexible with how you get there. It's about saying, if this path doesn't work, I'll try another. It's about learning from each attempt, adjusting your approach, and growing stronger with every step. Successful people don't see persistence as just an action. They see it as a mindset, a belief that says, I will find a way, or I will create one. It's the mindset that sees every no not as a rejection, but as one step closer to a yes. It's the mindset that treats every failure not as the end, but as valuable feedback. Every setback, just a setup for a comeback waiting to happen. And that same mindset is what drives one of the most important success principles of all: continuous learning and growth. In today's fast-moving, ever-changing world, what you already know is far less important than your ability to keep learning. Think about it. Your current knowledge, your current skill set, those things got you to where you are today. But if you want to reach that next level in your career, your mindset, your goals, you'll need to grow beyond what you currently know. That's why committing to lifelong learning is non-negotiable for anyone serious about success. The most successful people are constantly evolving. They're always reading new books, attending events and seminars, listening to educational podcasts, engaging with thought leaders, and seeking out new insights. They don't wait for learning to come to them. They go after it. But here's the thing. Learning isn't just about collecting facts. It's not about stuffing your mind with more data. True learning is about sharpening how you think, how you solve problems, how you create solutions, and how you adapt when life throws you something unexpected. That's the kind of learning that moves you forward. So how do you build that kind of mindset? Make learning a daily habit. Just like brushing your teeth or working out, set aside dedicated time each day to stretch your mind. Read a few pages of a book that challenges your thinking. Watch a video or take a course that deepens your skills. Choose growth over passive consumption. Instead of watching another TV episode, crack open a book that moves you closer to your goals. Instead of scrolling through social media, press play on a podcast that adds value to your life. Instead of idle conversations, seek out discussions that stretch your ideas and push you to see things differently. And don't just learn from experts, learn from life itself. Yes, successful people often study other successful people, but that's not all. They learn from their mistakes, from their experiences, from their failures, and from the failures of others, too. They learn through books, but they also learn by living. They value formal education, but they also know that the school of hard knocks teaches lessons you won't find in any classroom. In their eyes, life is always teaching. The question is, are you paying attention? The most successful people position themselves as perpetual students, always curious, always humble enough to ask questions, always hungry to grow. But here's something crucial to remember. Learning without application is just intellectual entertainment. It may feel productive, but if you don't put it into practice, it won't move your life forward. You must act on what you learn. You must turn insight into action. You must practice the skills you've studied, apply the strategies you've explored, and use the knowledge you've gained in real-life situations. Because knowledge alone isn't power. Knowledge without action is powerless. But knowledge combined with consistent, intentional action, that's when you become truly unstoppable. Now let's talk about something that often gets overlooked in the success equation: your habits. Habits are the foundation of your life. They're the small decisions you make, the tiny actions you repeat every day, often without even thinking. But over time, those seemingly minor choices shape your identity, influence your results, and determine how far you go. As Aristotle famously said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. That one quote says it all. If you want to develop a success mindset, you can't just rely on motivation. You must build success habits into your daily routine. That means making positive thinking a habit. Not just once in a while, but consistently. It means setting goals and reviewing them regularly, so your direction stays clear. It means making time each day for learning, reflection, and personal growth. It means taking purposeful action toward your dreams, not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's not. And above all, it means turning persistence into a habit, so that when obstacles appear, and they will, you don't give up. You keep going. The great thing about habits is this: once they're fully formed, they become automatic. You no longer need to rely on willpower or wait for motivation. You just do the thing, because it's simply what you do. That frees up your mental energy for the bigger, more complex decisions in your life. But when you're building new habits, don't try to overhaul everything at once. That's a recipe for burnout. Start small. Choose 1 or 2 high-impact habits, ones that will truly elevate your mindset and move you closer to your goals. Focus all your energy on building those first. Once they become second nature, add the next layer. Success isn't built in a day. It's built daily, one small habit at a time. Once your new habits become automatic, that's when the magic really begins. You can start layering in more, gradually expanding your routine without feeling overwhelmed. But here's something most people forget. You need to be patient with the process. Building lasting habits isn't an overnight transformation. Research shows that it takes, on average, about 60 days to fully establish a new habit. Some habits may take longer, others might click faster, but the constant across all of them is this: consistency matters more than intensity. What counts is showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it, even when motivation is low, even when all you can manage is a small version of the habit. Because small consistent effort over time always wins against intense but short-lived bursts. Think of it this way. It's better to read 1 page every day than 10 chapters once a month and then give up. It's not about being perfect. It's about being persistent. Now, let's shift gears and talk about something that quietly shapes your mindset more than you may realize: the people you surround yourself with. Jim Rohn said it best: "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." That's not just a catchy quote. It's a powerful truth, especially when it comes to how you think, act, and grow. If you spend most of your time with people who are negative, pessimistic, or stuck in complaining mode, guess what happens? Their way of thinking starts to influence yours. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with people who are positive, driven, and success-oriented, their energy starts to lift you. Their beliefs start to become your beliefs. Their standards raise your standards. So take a moment and honestly assess the people in your life. Are they lifting you up or pulling you down? Are they encouraging your dreams or subtly undermining them? Are they focused on possibilities and growth or stuck on problems and limitations? Are they moving forward or standing still? Your answers to those questions will tell you a lot about the current influence shaping your mindset. Now, this doesn't mean you need to walk away from everyone in your life who's struggling. It's not about cutting people off. It's about being intentional, choosing who you allow to speak into your goals, your growth, and your beliefs. So make it a priority to seek out those who inspire you. Find people who already think the way you want to think. Join groups, masterminds, or communities where positive, growth-minded, successful people gather. Because when you surround yourself with the right people, the right mindset becomes almost inevitable. Go where growth is happening. Attend events, workshops, and seminars where you can learn directly from people who have already achieved the things you aspire to. When you put yourself in rooms with winners, you start thinking like one. Always remember this truth: association is education. Whether you realize it or not, you're learning from the people around you every single day. You're picking up their language, their beliefs, their energy, and even their limitations. So ask yourself, are you learning the right lessons from the right people? Or are you being silently shaped by the wrong influences? And now, let me share with you one of the most powerful mindset principles I've ever come across: the principle of service. Real success isn't just about what you gain. It's also about what you give. It's not only measured by how much money you make. It's measured by how much value you create for others. It's not just about hitting your personal goals. It's about how many people you help along the way. When you cultivate a service mindset, when your focus shifts from how can I get more to how can I contribute more, something incredible happens. First, your perspective expands. You stop being overly self-focused and start being more people-focused. That shift alone makes you more magnetic to others. People are drawn to those who lead with value. New relationships, opportunities, and trust are built naturally when people sense that your motives are rooted in service. Second, by focusing on giving, you begin developing essential skills and strong character traits like empathy, patience, resilience, and adaptability. These are the very qualities that benefit every area of life, from business to relationships. And third, when you serve others genuinely, you build goodwill that often comes back to you in ways you never expected. Sometimes, the very doors you need to open are unlocked by the relationships you nurtured through service. But perhaps most important of all, service gives your life a deeper sense of meaning. When you know that what you're doing is making a difference in someone else's life, it becomes easier to endure the challenges and setbacks that inevitably come your way. Why? Because your purpose becomes bigger than your problems. Your why becomes stronger than any obstacle in your path. So make service part of everything you do. If you're in business, ask how you can better serve your customers, not just sell to them. If you're an employee, ask how you can bring more value to your company and your team. If you're a parent, consider how you can better serve your children, not just provide, but guide. If you're a friend, think about how you can support and uplift those closest to you. Here's the beautiful paradox of service. The more you focus on giving, the more you end up receiving. The more you pour into helping others succeed, the more success flows back into your own life. And this isn't just a feel-good philosophy. It's a principle that actually works in a real world. Time and time again, those who lead with contribution find themselves surrounded by unexpected rewards, relationships, and opportunities. As we begin to wrap up our time together, there's one message I want to leave you with loud and clear. Developing a success mindset is not a one-time event. It's not something you do once and then move on from. It's not a motivational switch you flip and never revisit. Developing a strong, resilient, success-driven mindset is a daily practice. Just like your physical health, your mental fitness requires regular attention. You can't work on it once and expect lasting results. Some days, you'll feel sharp, focused, and unshakably positive. On those days, everything seems to click. But other days, you'll struggle. You'll have to push through doubt, distraction, and fatigue. There will be times when you're fired up by inspiration, and times when all you have to rely on is discipline and commitment. And that's okay. That's part of the process. Because success isn't built on perfect days, it's built on persistence. It's about stacking more good days than bad ones. It's about showing up even when it's hard. And most importantly, it's about continuing to grow even when progress feels slow. So be patient with yourself. Give yourself grace as you build this mindset day by day. Change doesn't happen overnight. Growth is a journey, not a single leap, but a series of steady steps. Celebrate the small wins. Recognize when you've made progress, no matter how minor it may seem. And when setbacks happen, and they will, don't beat yourself up. Learn from them, then keep going. But never forget this: your mindset is always your choice. At any given moment, you get to choose what you focus on, what thoughts you feed, what beliefs you hold, and how you interpret what's happening around you. Those small choices, made again and again, will shape your mindset. And your mindset will shape your results. Over time, those results will define the quality of your life. Right now, in this very moment, you already have what it takes to succeed. You were born with a mind capable of learning, growing, adapting, and creating. The potential is already within you. You already possess one of the greatest powers known to man. The ability to choose your thoughts, direct your focus, and shape your responses. You have the power to dream big, to set meaningful goals, and to take decisive action. You have the inner strength to endure challenges, to rise again after setbacks, and to adapt when life doesn't go according to plan. So the real question is not if you're capable of success, because you are. The real question is, will you choose to build the mindset that makes success not just possible, but inevitable? Will you choose to think like those who win? Will you shift your focus from limitations to possibilities? Will you train yourself to see obstacles not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones to growth? When things get tough, and they will you persist? Will you continue to learn, evolve, and improve, no matter your age or your past? These are the choices that draw the line between those who succeed and those who stay stuck. These are the choices that shape not only your outcomes, but your identity, who you become in the process. And the best part? You get to make these choices fresh every single day. Your journey toward a powerful, success-driven mindset begins with a single, life-changing decision. The decision to take ownership of your thoughts. The decision to stop focusing on what's going wrong and start focusing on what's possible. The decision to believe that you are capable of learning, growing, and creating the results you desire. It's the decision to keep showing up, even when you feel like quitting. The decision to serve others while staying committed to your own growth. And it's not a one-time decision, it's a daily one. One that will shape your future in ways you can't yet imagine. Make that decision today. Make it again tomorrow. Keep making it every day for the rest of your life. Because when you do, your future self will look back with gratitude. And the world around you will be better because of the unique gift that only you can offer. When you show up fully with a mindset built for success, the time for excuses, it's over. The time for blame, that's behind you. The time to wait for the perfect moment, that moment is now. This is your time. The time to take control of your mindset. The time to start creating the life you truly want and fully deserve. Your mindset will determine your path. Master it, and you master your life. The choice is yours, and the time is now. Go make it happen. Wishing you strength, clarity, and fulfillment on your journey. Stay healthy, stay inspired, and don't forget to subscribe to Mindset Daily for more content that helps you grow.